Hi, here's Ralf von Q4.ai with our 50-minute coffee break podcast. Today with an exciting topic of the future, and not a kind of future. We're talking about the future of the companies. The title of this podcast, the Future Ready Company. And I have an expert with me, Maria. Thank you to be a part of this podcast. Maybe you have a quick introduction of yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Ralph, for having me today. It's an exciting day today to talk about a future-ready company. And yeah, my name is Maria Jose Perea Marquez, and I'm a Spanish immigrant in Germany by birth and a digital immigrant by choice, as I'm often saying. And I founded LD7, my company, a couple of years ago with the aim to accompany companies in their digital transformation or in their tech-enabled transformation after I spent many years in corporate environments and trying to make this change happen within the companies. I then thought that the stimulus outside the companies might be also a good position to make those changes true. And this is exactly what we are going to talk today, how I'm going to convey all these experiences into something which is a concept which can be reused and franchised.
Thanks. And I'm excited to talk about with you the future. And as I said before, it's not a personal future. Of course, it's also a personal future, but it's the title, The Future Ready Company. Before we start and dive deep in this kind of topic, what's your personal take about the future of companies? Can you tell me more about your personal view of that?
Sure. So first of all, my personal belief is that all the companies in various industries are somehow subject to change, and those changes are coming from what I'm calling compelling events, which can be quite easily categorized, and we have seen them over the last years all the time. So these are either regulatory changes or legal requirements, or socioeconomic changes like coming from geopolitical risks. Technology shifts can be also somehow this kind of compelling events, then provoking a change in the company. And those changes needs to be described and structured in a way that a company can really run through this process.
Hmm.
Nothing new so far, but what I found over the last, let's say, 10 to 12 years is that those technology advances, and this is exactly what we are talking today, how technology shifts are changing the way how companies are doing businesses, is what I'm seeing, that the speed is different. So it's much faster that companies need to adapt to technology shifts. And what we have seen just over the last 15 to let's say 18 months with ChatGPT and with
Yeah.
Gen AI in general is something that is really overwhelming organizations and individuals alike.
That's a really good personal take of that because it's also my experience. I'm in the business in over 20 years, and I find out that the speed of transformation it's so fast that actually organizations and people can mostly can't cope with the speed of this kind of digital transformation and this kind of what they need to be as a company is successful in the future. So what's it's you thing the first step for you? What you tell the companies when they say we need to be future ready? First of all, what's for you?
Sure.
Sorry, paddling back. What's for you for future ready?
Sure. That's a very good question. And indeed, before I started to somehow think about how can I frame all the experiences I made over the last years into a kind of concept, of course, I first of all try to define it. And this is my definition. And it may be
Hmm.
even a quite common definition, but I try to put it in a couple of statements. So a future-ready company follows a couple of principles. Point number one, it understands how to abstract from the physical world into the digital world. So
Hmm.
everything which I can engineer, manufacture, craft, or assemble and where I have a domain expertise in exactly doing this needs to be transferred into software. And as long as I understand how to use this unique knowledge about the engineering part, I'm able then also to have a unique selling point in the software part. So
Okay.
basically, abstraction from hardware to software, or from the physical world into the digital world. This is point number one. Point number two, since the acceleration we are seeing with ever more features coming up in products and so on and so on, learning and becoming a learning organization and retaining know-how is very important within organizations, in
Hmm.
companies. Why is it? Because most of the knowledge sits between the shoulders of the people, so in the brains of the people,
Yeah.
and it's important also to make this in a structured way accessible for organizations, and that it's being retained there, so that whenever I have an incremental development of new products, I can rely on this knowledge. And last but not least, and this is also something we will touch upon in one of the modules, that a business model will be always harvesting either information or data. So
Hmm.
basically, the information, the business models of the future will be always information and or software based. These are the three principles of a future ready company.
Okay, if I understand correctly, and coming back to the point, the first point is um, the hardware going to software. That's what I understand, and that's what I'm seeing now. Is and we will talk about in a later podcast what we do. We do in a long-term podcast about all the principles and all the steps. When you say hardware going to software, what would be the first step if a client asks you, or a person or a company client ask you, would be the first step for this principle?
So first of all, it's I think it's important to have a status quo on the tech platform the company is using. Remember, and this is also something which most of the people fortunately have already in mind, that technology is determining business and not the other way around. In the past,
Mm,
we saw a lot of IT organizations within companies being like treated like a cost center,
mm,
and often in budget rounds squeezed out of strategic investments, and this has to change. So the tech debt being accumulated by simply postponing modernization measures within companies is becoming an important impediment, that companies can't really rely on a tech stack that allows them to have modern business models. And the first step will be always to look at the future ready enterprise module, so that we
mm.
can see what kind of technology stack is the company using, and at which level am I regarding the status quo.
I have a lot of questions in my mind and a lot of things what I'm thinking about this. But going to the second principle, that's what I understand. It's my old-fashioned way to say knowledge management. Is it correct? It's knowledge management. That's what I
Let me
used in
first
the past as knowledge management with software or with programs and so on. Is it that, or is it
Yeah.
more complicated or more sophisticated or more modern, whatever?
Let me first jump back for a moment into what I'm calling as the first module, a future ready enterprise. And the future ready enterprise means first and foremost that we are using technology to raise productivity, meaning that a company is set up cloud first and AI first. So this
Yeah.
does mean that whenever I have a possibility to move software into the cloud or systems into the cloud, I should definitely validate the options to do so. And then, of course, it depends very much on the preferences of the company regarding what kind of cloud setup is being chosen. But the most
Sorry to
important item here is,
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but that's a kind of thinking what I like and what I have in mind. But my experience in the past, because I did consulting for companies in this way, not going web-based first to mobile first. And a lot of companies in the past said, oh, we don't know, we don't need mobile first situation, we don't need mobile first solutions. So you're talking about now the next step to go in AI first. What I'm really admire, because we at Q4, we are 78% to AI first a company. But regarding to our clients, or regarding what I'm seeing in the in the company world, it would be a huge work to convince companies to do that. But maybe it's a conversation to a later point. But sorry, that's what I need to say about
Sure.
that.
So, I mean, and you can just take AI and replace it then in the next generation with quantum. So that's going to be
Yeah,
definitely the
yeah,
next tech shift.
yeah.
But going to the second module, which is a future-ready organization, this is basically focusing on the people in the organization so that they can get the opportunities to access learning materials and learn in an immersive, integrative, interoperable way, so that they have everything they need to have an instant option to learn when they need it during their daily operations. And this is then also the, let's say, the requirement to have the knowledge within the company retained in the organization as well. I'm sure you have also a lot of examples where at Q4 you have seen organizations that are exactly at this tipping point to become a learning organization, right?
Totally. And as I said before, sometimes it's easy to convince or to consult these companies, but sometimes it's a hard way, because I think from my perspective, it's not just to say we want to be future ready, we want to be this kind of new way because we need it. It's also to take the people with you on this way, take the people with you in this travel to go to the future. And I think that's for me the harder part, to take all the people, to not all the leadership, take all the employees with on this way, hand in hand, to go to the future. And I think that's for me the when you say learning organization, I think that's the hard part. Not the tools, not the organization structure. It's always also the convince or take the people hand and on the hand and go then to the last mile.
Which is exactly the main part of what I'm calling third module, being the future ready business model,
Yeah,
because that's exactly then the leadership part, right? So that's
yeah,
exactly where leaders need to understand that transformation within such a company is a constant activity, not just a once in a lifetime activity, and requires from them also to reinvent occasionally their own position and their own role within an organization. Only
hmm
then it's possible to attract the talent you have today for a technology you might be using in 10 years. You need to attract the talent today with a strong leadership, with a strong vision and strategy, how you're going to take this technology and transfer it into a business model which is future ready.
and starts today and not tomorrow. That's my take. It
Exactly.
starts today and not tomorrow. Future is tomorrow, but it should be starting today. Uh, Maria, 15 minutes are up for our teaser. I call it teaser in the moment because listeners outside, we are starting now three-part more deep dive podcast sessions with this kind of the future ready company with Maria, and we will take every step in our mind and take you with us. I'm excited to be part of this kind of the future ready company solution or way. So the 50 minutes are now our teaser for the next podcast. But thank you so much, and I'm really excited to talk to you later on. Thank you.